teaching everybody in the world, all the babies in the world, we in the suburbs now. They can't stop us. That's why so much negative media going on about rap. Because they know all their children see is that television. And they got to the ghetto or whatever. Because it's not like they're going to walk right up into it. They can't. Word up. Because that's like one little community in itself.
But they want to know what's going on.
But they want to know what's going on. That's why we can't water down our videos. Why would we water down life, real actual life? If a little kid standing on the block and somebody gets shot, he can't change the channel. This is real life. He gonna see it for what it really is, somebody getting shot.
I guess in the early 90s, the FBI were trying to put a RICO on you guys.
They're always trying to put RICO on us. The only reason why they started this RICO shit, because we all got, a lot of us got on our records. So they, some director, FBI director thought he was cool for him to we could put a RICO.
They searching people like that, man. That's sad, man. Political, man. We rap stars. And look what we gotta go through. I'm letting y'all know this real. It's real.
The Wu-Tang Clan, hailing from Staten Island, New York, has been one of the most influential groups in hip-hop, but their career hasn't been without controversy, with rumors swirling about their alleged ties to criminal activities that caught the attention of the FBI.
Okay, dude, got 2 special cuts on the album. You got
27 cuts.
a special cut on the album. Special cut on the album. What's the special cut?
They got 2.
Oh yeah, dude, got 2 special cuts on the album. You got
7 cuts. Special cut on the album.
Some court documents later revealed the feds were suspicious of the clan's possible connections to m-ders and tried to pin a RICO case on them. In fact, U-God briefly discussed this in a sit-in with Vlad TV.
I guess in the early 90s, the FBI were trying to put a RICO on you guys.
They're always trying to put RICO on us. The only reason why they started this RICO shit, because we all got, a lot of us got on our records and shit. So they, some director, FBI director thought he was cool for him to we could put a RICO.
But it seems like Wu-Tang might have outsmarted them all. Let's dive in. Back in 2014, a federal jury handed down guilty verdicts to Anthony and Harvey Christian, accusing the brothers of running a sprawling drug empire on Staten Island for 2 decades and orchestrating the m-rder of young Jerome Boo Boo Estella, who was 17 at the time. But here's where things get interesting. Court documents revealed by the Staten Island Advance hinted at a potential twist involving none other than founding Wu-Tang members Rza and Raekwon.
According to information in the indictment of the Christians, 2 of the Wu-Tang's rappers were investigated for ordering a pair of revenge killings in the summer of 1999. Now, according to the FBI indictment and informants, it tells them that Rza and Raekwon the Chef issued murder contracts on rivals of the Christian brothers, a guy by the name of Jerome Boo Boo.
Allegedly, Estella had robbed their family members, sparking speculation about their possible connection to his m-rder.
The hits were allegedly ordered after Boo Boo Estella allegedly robbed one of Raekwon's his younger brother of a diamond-studded chain.
Now, as the Christian brothers' sentencing loomed, their attorney was pushing hard for more details about the Wu-Tang Clan's alleged ties to not only Estella's death, but also the m-rder of another man, Corey Shankbank Brooker. Federal prosecutors, meanwhile, were leaning on intel from Paul Uncles Ford, a Bloods gang member turned informant, and Brian Humphreys, the man who pulled the trigger on Estella.
We gotta mention Brian Trigger Trev Humphreys, who the FBI labels as the gang's top hitman, and another guy by the name of Paul Unks Ford.
According to Ford, during one conversation with Humphreys, he expressed fears that Wu-Tang members might retaliate against Estella for robbing Rza's brother. In another exchange, Ford claimed that Brooker had also targeted Raekwon's cousin and Rza's brother in separate robberies. Things got even murkier when Ford accused Rza of putting a $30,000 bounty on Brooker's head.
Humphrey and Ford also testified that Rza sucked out the help of Nitty Christensen in tracking down Estrella. When you put on top of that they said Rza put a hit of $30,000 on the 2, That was going to be the seal of the deal.
Prosecutors painted a picture of how these robberies could disrupt the local drug trade, prompting Christian and Ford to allegedly order Humphreys to silence Brooker. Though Brooker narrowly survived an initial shooting, his luck ran out just 3 days later on June 22, 1999, when he was offed. Anthony Christian's lawyer, Michael Gold, remained skeptical that anyone from the legendary Wu-Tang Clan personally pulled the trigger, but he does leave the door open, suggesting they might have known more than they're letting on. These reports seem to suggest someone else was liable for those m-murders. I'm not suggesting that Wu-Tang committed these crimes. The FBI did, Gold told the Advance. What I'm trying to ascertain is their stated belief in an official file that Wu-Tang ordered this homicide. Gold's comments pointed directly at Wu-Tang's enigmatic and controversial member, Old Dirty ODB, whose 95-page FBI file became a public spectacle in 2012 after a Freedom of Information Act request. The heavily redacted file painted a murky picture of alleged criminal activity surrounding ODB and the group, but federal prosecutors were quick to dismiss any connection between the file's contents and evidence that might clear Gold's client. They claimed Gold already had access to all pertinent information in that file before the trial, and even then, nothing in it pointed to the Christian's innocence. But the drama didn't stop there. A letter sent to the U.S. Attorney's Office ramped up the intrigue by alleging that members of the Wu-Tang Clan were deeply entangled in a laundry list of serious crimes. The New York Daily News pulled back the curtain on the letter, quoting from FBI documents that claimed the Wu-Tang Clan had ties to t-fficking, illegal firearms, m-rder, carjackings, and other violent offenses.
I guess in the early 90s, the FBI were trying to put a RICO on you guys.
They're always trying to put RICO on us. The only reason why they started this RICO because we all got, a lot of us got on our records. So some director, FBI director thought he was cool for him to we could put a RICO.
Even more chilling, the letter suggested that some unnamed individuals, potentially affiliates of the clan, acted as enforcers, handling business through beatings, shootings, and m-murders. Despite the sensational claims, Wu-Tang members have remained tight-lipped about the FBI's investigations, neither confirming nor denying the alleged connections. But one thing is clear: ODB himself was no stranger to suspicion and surveillance, and his concerns about government monitoring weren't just paranoia.
CIA.
Special cut on the album. What's the special cut? They got two. Oh yeah, you got two special cuts on the album. You got special cut on the
CIA.
Before his untimely passing, ODB had voiced mistrust of the authorities, and according to a new documentary, Old Dirty A Tale of Two Dirties, he may have had good reason. The film explores his turbulent life, marked by substance abuse, legal troubles, and a growing belief that law enforcement was targeting him and the Wu-Tang Clan long before it became public knowledge. His associates recount his erratic behavior, which some attributed to drugs or stress, but which now seems intertwined with the very real surveillance he was under. Steve Rifkind, a music executive and friend, reflects in the documentary, "He'd show up at my office twice a week, sometimes for no reason, just to escape. I thought it was paranoia, but when I started making calls, I realized the cops were definitely watching him. This wasn't just idle talk. The Andy documentary reveals that the NYPD's Enterprise Operations Unit, infamously dubbed the Hip Hop Police, was notorious for keeping tabs on prominent local rappers. ODB, with his larger-than-life personality and controversial antics, was naturally a prime target. From getting pulled over on his way to concerts to enduring constant scrutiny from law enforcement, ODB lived in a pressure cooker of fame and surveillance. And as the FBI's 5-year watch over Wu-Tang Clan came to light, the story of their alleged ties to organized crime and law enforcement's relentless pursuit of a RICO case adds another layer to the group's legendary mystique.
I guess in the early 90s, the FBI were trying to put a RICO on you guys.
They're always trying to put RICO on us. The only reason why they started this RICO because we all got, a lot of us got on our records. So some stupid director, FBI director thought he was cool for him to we could put a RICO.
While the 95-page FBI file failed to produce charges, it remains a haunting reminder of how closely hip-hop culture and the justice system collided in the 90s. Dirty was one of those guys who'd always say, "Yo, the government's watching us. They're gonna take me out like this or like that." Ghostface K.A. reflects in A Tale of Two Dirties.
The government is on us. Dirt was ahead of his time on it.
At first glance, it might have sounded like paranoia or the ramblings of someone battling inner demons. But as journalist S.H. Fernando Jr. points out in the documentary, Old Dirty wasn't just spinning wild theories. He was right. People thought Dirty was crazy or that the drugs were messing with his mind, Fernando explains. But the truth is, he had a real reason to be concerned. He knew the feds had their eyes on him and the Wu-Tang Clan. Turns out, ODB's instincts weren't off the mark. The FBI had been tailing Wu-Tang Clan for years, keeping tabs on the group from 1999 to 2004. This shadowy surveillance only came to light in 2012 when the 95-page FBI file surfaced, loaded with accusations, criminal connections. Despite the heavy allegations, no charges were ever brought against the group and the case ultimately fizzled out. Still, the revelation painted a vivid picture of how deeply law enforcement was entrenched in the hip-hop world during that era. For ODB, the weight of this surveillance was just one chapter in a life filled with both triumph and tragedy. A tale of two dirties dives deep into his story, from Wu-Tang Clan's meteoric rise to ODB's solo success. The documentary doesn't shy away from his chaotic yet remarkable life, like the time he famously saved a 4-year-old girl trapped under a car or his unforgettable collaboration with Mariah Carey on Fantasy. It also explores the struggles that marked his later years, leading to his untimely death at just 35 from a drug overdose in November 2004. Beyond ODB's personal story, the film reflects on the legacy of Wu-Tang Clan as a whole. Founded in Staten Island in 1992, the group redefined East Coast hip-hop with their gritty sound, revolutionary business approach, and larger-than-life personas.
Wu-Tang represents a sword style of rhyming, man. The Wu is the way, the Tang is the slang. The Clan represents the family, man. We call it a sword.
With the members like RZA, GZA, Method Man, and Ghostface K.A., Wu-Tang became a cultural phenomenon, dropping classics like Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers in 1993, widely regarded as one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever. While their later releases saw mixed success, their influence on the genre remains unmatched, even as they navigated controversies, legal troubles, and the tragic loss of ODB. The group's story is not just about music. It's about survival, creativity, and a defiant refusal to be boxed in by the system. Wu-Tang Clan didn't just make music. They built an empire, one that extended to solo careers, films, fashion, and beyond. And while their name has been tied to both triumphs and scandals, their impact on hip-hop culture is undeniable, cementing their status as one of the most legendary collectives of all time. Even now, years after ODB's passing and the FBI's case has faded into history, the mythology of Wu-Tang remains as compelling as ever. Whether they were navigating the treacherous waters of fame, facing off against the law, or simply making timeless music, Wu-Tang Clan lived by their own rules. And in true Wu-Tang fashion, they proved time and again that nothing, not even the FBI, could stop their legacy from becoming untouchable. In the late 1980s, 3 Staten Island cousins, Robert Diggs, Gary Grice, and Russell Jones, were just a group of ambitious dreamers carving their names into the hip-hop scene under the banner of Force of the Imperial Master, also known as the All-In Together Now crew. Back then, they were known by their early aliases, Diggs as Prince Rakeem or the Scientist, Grice as the Genius, and Jones as the Specialist. Though they didn't land a major label deal, their talent caught the ear of the NYC underground, earning a nod of recognition from rap legend Biz Markie. They didn't know it then, but the foundation for Wu-Tang Clan had already been laid. By 1991, the Genius and Prince Rakeem had signed to different labels, releasing albums that showcased their lyrical prowess. But that didn't make a huge splash. Grice's words from the Genius dropped on Cold Chillin' Records, while Diggs put out Ooh I Love You Rakeem under Tommy Boy Records.
No. Oh, we love you, Rakeem. We got something to say.
Both projects flopped commercially, and soon enough they were back to square one. But failure wasn't the end. It was the spark. Reinventing themselves, the Genius became GZA, Prince Rakeem transformed into RZA, and the Specialist evolved into Old Dirty. These name changes weren't just for show. They signaled a new era of creativity and determination. As the 90s dawned, RZA linked up with Dennis Coles, a fiery talent from Staten Island's Stapleton houses who would later be known as Ghostface K.A. Together, they dreamed up a hip-hop group like no other, one that would blend the grit of NYC's streets with the mysticism of kung fu movies, the philosophy of the 5% Nation, and even a dash of comic book flair. By late 1992, Wu-Tang Clan was born. with RZA emerging as the mastermind and producer. The name itself was inspired by the martial arts flick Shaolin and Wu-Tang, setting the stage for a group that would carve their own mythology into hip-hop history. Wu-Tang wasn't just a name, it was a concept. They crafted acronyms like witty, unpredictable talent and natural game, and wisdom of the universe, and the truth of Allah for the nation of the gods. Their ethos was as complex as their music, mixing street smarts with intellectual depth. When they dropped their independent single Protect Ya Neck in 1993, the hip-hop world took notice.
Enough respect due to the 1-6, yo, check out the flow like the Hudson or
The gritty track established Wu-Tang as a force to be reckoned with in the underground scene, but getting a record deal that allowed for both group and solo projects, that took some serious negotiating. Eventually, Loud RCA Records saw their potential and agreed to a groundbreaking deal. Wu-Tang's debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, hit shelves in November 1993 and instantly changed the game. Its raw energy, Shaolin-inspired themes, and split album structure, Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang, made it an instant classic, and it's still hailed as one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. With this success, RZA spearheaded a revolutionary business model that let members pursue solo deals with different labels while keeping the Wu-Tang brand intact. Wu-Tang was a financial movement, RZA explained. We reinvented the way hip-hop was structured. The mid-90s became the golden era for Wu-Tang Clan. RZA not only led the group but also took charge of their solo projects, producing albums out of his Staten Island basement. In 1994, Method Man released Tycool, featuring the Grammy-winning track All I Need.
It'll be okay. Now that's real to a brother like me, baby. Never ever give my pussy away.
The following year, Old Dirty Bass the chaotic yet iconic returned to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version.
Dirty bastard from the Wu-Tang squad. Can I get raw? Yes, I get dirty to the floor.
That same year, Raekwon redefined mafioso rap with Only Built for Cuban Links, and Giza's Liquid Swords brought a cinematic brilliance to hip-hop, interweaving tracks with samples from Shogun Assassin. Ghostface Chaos Iron Man came in 1996, solidifying Wu-Tang's legacy of powerful solo projects. Each album not only stood on its own, but also reinforced the group's collective strength. Wu-Tang wasn't just a rap group, it was a dynasty, and their influence rippled through music, fashion, and culture. They had become a living legend, balancing the chaos of their individual lives with the unity of their shared vision. Through it all, Wu-Tang remained true to their roots, gritty, unapologetic, and fiercely independent. Their story wasn't just about music. It was about turning setbacks into strength, building an empire from scratch, and proving that 9 individuals could move as one unstoppable force. From the streets of Staten Island to global superstardom, Wu-Tang Clan showed the world that their name wasn't just a title. It was a way of life. And as their legacy continues to grow, one thing remains clear. Wu-Tang is forever. By 1997, Wu-Tang Clan was riding high, and their second studio album, Wu-Tang Forever, solidified their place in hip-hop history.
I'm lost, brother. Can you help me?
When it dropped in June, it didn't just make waves, it became a tidal force, debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200. The album was ambitious, with tracks like the epic lead single Triumph, a 5-minute lyrical onslaught featuring 9 verses from nearly every member, with Old Dirty Bass handling the intro and bridge. No hook, no fluff, just raw, unrelenting bars. Produced by RZA and his protege's true master and 4th disciple, Wu-Tang Forever took a more complex lyrical direction compared to 36 Chambers, diving deep into stream of consciousness storytelling and 5% Nation teachings. It even snagged a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album in 1998, though it famously lost to Puff Daddy. That loss prompted ODB's unforgettable protest when he interrupted Sean Colvin's Song of the Year speech, declaring, "Wu-Tang is for the children."
Wu-Tang is for the children will forever go down as one of these like catchphrases that just has never gone away.
Exactly.
You know, so Puffy is good, but Wu-Tang is for the children.
That was a good phrase. But yeah, man, I miss that dude, man. He was yeah, man. It was a good time, G.
Beyond the group's output, the Wu-Tang universe was expanding. K.O. Priest dropped his introspective heavy mental in early 1998, and Capadonna followed with The Pillage, solidifying his place in the Wu-Tang orbit. Affiliates like Sons of Man and K-Army released projects that cemented the Wu-Tang brand as a sprawling hip-hop empire. The Swarm, a compilation showcasing these affiliates, dropped in 1998 and went gold, proving that the Wu-Tang name carried weight well beyond the core group. Even secondary affiliates like Popa Wu, Shyheim, and Wu Syndicate got in on the action, building out the Wu-Tang mythology with a steady stream of releases. Meanwhile, the core members were busy pumping out solo projects at a breakneck pace. Between 1997 and 2000, the group unleashed an avalanche of music. Raza's experimental Bobby Digital and Stereo, Method Man's cinematic Tickle 2000, Judgment Day, and Ghostface Chaos' celebrated Supreme Clientele were just a few highlights in this prolific period. Old Dirty Bad Ninja Please delivered his trademark chaotic energy, while Inspecta Deck's uncontrolled substance showcased his underrated lyricism. Even as individual projects piled up, Reza found time to compose the score for Jim Jarmusch's Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, further cementing Wu-Tang's cultural influence. However, this flood of content came at a cost. Critics and fans alike began to feel that the sheer volume of releases led to oversaturation, which some argue contributed to a dip in Wu-Tang's mainstream popularity, but the group pressed on, releasing their third studio album, The W, in 2000. Despite his incarceration, ODB managed to feature on Conditioner, recording his vocals over prison phones, a testament to his unrelenting commitment to the group. The W went platinum and spawned the hit single Gravel Pit, proving that Wu-Tang still had plenty of firepower. The momentum carried into 2001 with their fourth album, Iron Flag, though not without drama. Capadonna, originally part of the album's artwork, was airbrushed out amid tensions over revelations that his manager had been a police informant.
The difference between the album cover and the image is that Capadonna was airbrushed out of it. Why exactly he was removed has never been confirmed, but it is 100% confirmed that in May 2000, the Kappa's manager was an FBI informant in a piece called The Rap Group and the Rat. Capadonna wasn't an official member of the Wu-Tang, but he was always around. He missed out on being on 36 Chambers because he was in jail.
Despite these hiccups, Wu-Tang remained resilient, with Capadonna continuing to tour and collaborate with the group. The early 2000s saw challenges within the clan. U-God publicly aired grievances about his treatment within the group, releasing a DVD titled Rise of a Fallen Soldier that detailed his frustrations, particularly with Rosa. The tension peaked during a heated radio exchange, but ultimately led to reconciliation. By 2004, the group reunited for a European tour and headlined the Rock the Bells Festival in California, marking the first time they had performed together in years. This reunion was immortalized on the live album Disciples of the 36 Chambers, Chapter 1. They also released Legend of the Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang Clan's greatest hits later that year, solidifying their legacy. Tragically, 2004 also marked the untimely death of Old Dirty.
The story goes, Dirty was in the studio working with his cousin RZA, and he started complaining about some chest pains he was having earlier. They say he was sweating like crazy, he felt hot, and his heart was racing. He just collapsed right to the floor. And they called the paramedics, which was around 4:45, but he ended up dying by the time the paramedics got to him.
His legal troubles and erratic behavior had been tabloid fodder for years, but his talent and charisma were undeniable. After signing a deal with Rockefeller Records, ODB seemed poised for a resurgence. Instead, he collapsed and died at a Wu-Tang recording studio in November 2004. The group honored him in various ways, including heartfelt tributes during concerts. His larger-than-life persona and unfiltered artistry remain a cornerstone of Wu-Tang's story. Despite the ups and downs, the Wu-Tang Clan endured, proving time and again that their collective strength was greater than any individual challenge. From platinum records to prison phone verses, internal disputes to heartfelt reconciliations, the Wu-Tang saga is a testament to the power of loyalty, creativity, and resilience. Even in their darkest moments, the clan stayed true to their mantra, Wu-Tang is forever.